see if you say. I call this meeting of the Wausau Town Council to order. Would you please stand for the invocation? Remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Officer Likens will lead us tonight. Precious Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to serve and to serve our community. We thank you for the confidence that the people of this town have placed in this council, and we ask that we would not fail that. We ask that everything that we do tonight will be in the best interest of the citizens of our county. Help to do those things that's pleasing in our lives to you. All these things we ask in your own name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It looks like we have a very short agenda, and it sounds like if we're going to beat the rain, we need to make it a short agenda, doesn't it? You've had an opportunity to look at the consent agenda, look at your package. What's the pleasure of the council on consent agenda? It includes the approval of tonight's agenda, the minutes of our last month, the bank statements, and our fire department minutes.
I'll make a motion to.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Park?
Yes.
Ms. Reinberg?
Yes.
Yes. And Chair votes yes. I think we have one unattended audience. Ms. Kim?
Yes,
You
sir.
would address us tonight?
Yes, sir.
So, my name's Kimberly Powell. I live outside the city limits actually, but I came on Tuesday, I think it was, to see what was going on and why the cemetery is in the shape it's in. And to also let the clerk know that we were going to go up as a family on Sunday and take care of some of what we could while we were there. And then we got to talking about the fact that there's nobody to do any of the grass and the maintenance, and grass-wise in the city limits. So with that said, we then got in the discussion of, I own a business that cuts grass. So she's like, well, we had considered such, maybe not. So she told me kind of what y'all were thinking, if you did do it and what you do mow. So I told her I would come today and give you some real world prices.
Okay.
So that you could kind of look at what it would be and what it would cover if our company came out and done it, which I know you can't hand it to someone, don't get me wrong, I get that.
So be careful if you're going to discuss prices with us, because if we have to quote it, your prices will be.
My prices would be different, it wouldn't matter.
Okay.
If I'm gonna be competitive, I'm gonna be competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, just don't expose yourself.
That's not what I'm doing.
Okay.
And I don't mind doing this, but if my prices are gonna be bid out, which we understand that's the way it works, they would be different, but this would give you a general idea about what it would run.
Okay. If you're comfortable with it.
I don't have a problem with that. That way you kind of have a good idea of what you're looking at if you decide to do something to this effect. Okay. Some for everybody.
Thank you.
But my goal when I first came in here was not for this. It was to find out what was going on and why the cemetery hadn't been taken care of. That was my first and foremost thing. And to let her know that we were going to go out and do some work at the cemetery itself.
at some numbers here.
So while y'all are doing that, I want to talk about something else.
Sure.
So, as me and her spoke the other day, and we talked about how it kind of seems that you can't keep help for maintenance and such. I then spoke to to a family member that is an owner also of a different business. And he is in the process of speaking to and working out negotiations with the city of Alford as a on-call for tapping in, to putting in new meters, to fixing water leaks and that sort of thing. So he said for me to let you know that that is what he's doing, and if you would like to talk with the city of Alford, he wouldn't have a problem speaking to you. That way, if you wanted to go that route, you could. It could be something you could consider. Because it might get rid of the worrisome of having to deal with not having help.
Lean printers and numbers for us.
That's fine, that's fine. I spoke to Adam with the fire department, and he said they normally do their own, but I put it on here anyway,
Sure.
just cause. And I broke it down like this so that it'd be easier for y'all to see it and understand kind of what you think. 19 is considered every 2 weeks, and that's in the wintertime, it's considered once a month.
That's from November to February.
That's from the 1st of November to the 1st of March.
Okay.
And then it would be every 2 weeks during the grow season, April to the end of October.
So to the 19, we need to add 4 times 2 for the winter.
No, that's just period. 19 period.
Okay.
46,320.
And that's if you did everything on here. Don't get me wrong, I get that. Sometimes if you had someone that could come in and did part-time, they may do some of these things, by all means.
Say that over again, please.
46,320.
Lean is run this up, that you have in your hand and the, it's 6,320.
46,320.
I broke it down for a 40-hour week. It was $24 and some change an hour for a 40-hour week person, basically.
There wouldn't be anything to stop us from just picking and choosing things, all right?
Well,
When we get ready to contract it out.
correct. Well, when you get ready to contract it out, it's yours to set it how you want. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But this will give you a good idea about what something's going to look like when you get ready to do that.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Park, you have any questions for Kim? Ms. Babel, sorry.
Oh,
You're fine.
I don't, I see the numbers.
Shirley?
That hurts your feelings, I know.
Yeah, it stings. It's-
Correct.
Yeah. I imagine our clerk and our maintenance person and all would like to.
Exactly. But by the time you pay insurance, workers' comp, and their salary, it's not far from that.
Probably close. Mr. Wilson, any questions? Any comments?
No, but we can choose.
You said you said it. I mean, I'm just giving you an idea. You
Okay.
said what you want. I'm just presenting you some real world numbers, basically.
Okay, but some of it you could take off, right?
Oh yeah, of course. It's an a la carte. I mean, you get to choose what you want by all means. Don't get me wrong.
What if we didn't need 19 cuts? Would,
Well, when you get to looking at that situation, then you get to the fact of 19 cuts is every 2 weeks. So if you only went once a month, then the price would be different because it'd take them longer to cut it because it's thicker, higher. And then you've got grassland on the ground, then you've got snakes underneath that, you've got snakes before it gets cut, I mean, different things like that. The recommendation of that is only because it doesn't take as long to keep it up as it does to do it once a month.
I like the added services down at the bottom. We need to do that, whether we do it in-house, or contract, or whatever. It's one thing to get out there and go down the side of the roads and across the end of it, something like that. There's something else when those gravestones and those coupons are left in there, grasses that high above it and things like that. I like the, talk about weed eating every grave, that's what it needs.
Yeah, that's what we do. We do the city of we do Glenwood and Chipley. We have 2 cemeteries in the city of Glen Haven that we've got contracted. We have 3 cemeteries for Panama City, the city of Panama City. We do Salem Church on 231, and we also do the cemetery in Vernon for the city of Vernon. And last year, Miss Margaret called me because y'all couldn't get to it to do it before Fun Day, and we came out and did it a 1 cut for Miss Margaret then too. So we've already done this cemetery once before.
Well, after tonight, and we'll talk about some preliminary numbers tonight, we start our budget workshops. Our budget has to be adopted by the end of September.
Right.
If we do anything, it's going to be pushing to get into a needs situation between now and the end of the year, but we will certainly keep these in our budget packages and in our discussion, and if we decide to go out for a bid, let you know.
Oh, of course, by all means. But now Sunday, we're going out as family, not as a business.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some stuff out at the cemetery Sunday. So.
We find ourselves doing more right on our family plot than.
Right, but right now it's bad. It's bad out there undoubtedly. If I take a mower out there, I'll probably mow the whole thing. I'm not saying I'm weed eating at all. But at least I'll mow it so that when the time comes, it won't be as bad.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to tell us?
No, sir.
Well,
No, sir.
It's good to see you again. I don't know.
Yeah, busy.
Been busy, yeah.
It's called life, ain't
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you for coming, and you're
Yes,
welcome to stay with us if you.
I am. I'm gonna stay with you.
All right. That was it, the only unintended person, I believe. Okay. All right, that brings us down to the clerk.
I have, under the clerk tab, there's a letter from the sheriff's office just asking for support, and that we approve the distribution of $41,746 of federal fiscal year 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial JAG program funds. They sent the letter to me to sign and had my name on it. I just wanted to let the council know, since I knew that I would be signing on behalf of the town, if that's not a problem. It should be under the clerk tab.
I saw it a minute ago. This is an annual thing. I think it's every year. It is from the legislature, and we don't have a police department. We don't have a sword here, so our law enforcement is provided by the sheriff's office. And what we're doing is signing our portion of that grant to the sheriff to provide services to us.
Right. No cost to the town.
No cost to the town.
Right.
We don't match anything or anything.
Right there. I don't think it needs a vote. I just wanted to let y'all aware that I'll be signing on behalf of the town.
Yeah.
So,
Does anybody have a question or a reservation about doing it?
Sound good?
The next thing is that Monday after we did the interviews, we voted to hire 2 people, the clerk and the maintenance position, and we were going to put them on the consent agenda. I did speak to Jeff, and he said if it was a special meeting, we didn't need it approved in the meeting. The special meeting was fine. However, when I did the background check on the maintenance person, I did find that he had a criminal history and is currently on probation. And so just out of a sense of caution on my part, I want to come back to the council, make sure, I think he did mention to us in the interview that he had a misdemeanor charge, and that it was true, it was reduced down to a misdemeanor. But the fact that he was on probation before I went ahead and moved forward, I wanted to make sure that the council knew that, see if that was something they were comfortable with. I did send a text, or an email and a text to Jeff, explain the whole situation to him, and he said since the charges that he was charged with was not something that he would think would be a problem in working with the town, that we should be good to go, but if we want to be extra careful, we could set his start date after the probation is complete in September. He doesn't see any requirement to do so since it wasn't a felony charge that he ended up with. So, just to make sure that the council was still clear and wanted to proceed on, I wanted to put it on the agenda to get your thoughts.
Did the background come back on the clerk position?
Yes, it's good. She's gonna start Monday.
Already? Got her?
Got the background, the physical and the drug screen.
Great.
Yeah, she's gonna start on Monday.
Okay. Does what you just said to us cause any concerns with us?
Well, I mean, he wasn't exactly honest. He didn't tell us he was on probation for that. He acted like it was not a big deal.
He left that part out. He did say that he had been arrested and withheld adjudication of guilt. So if I'm not an attorney nor a doctor, Mr. Likens, if you can help with it, if they withheld adjudication of guilt, that's the same thing as not guilty as far as going forward.
So it'll always show up as him being charged.
Yeah.
Just an actual description thereof on the history, it'll say what the disposition was. But the arrest will never go away.
And it was reduced to a misdemeanor, which we've probably had over the years a number that has worked under those conditions, and we may have, I mean, even though the applicant he does, including with his, was some time served, so. The qualifications, the interview and things like that doesn't bother me. I do wish he did. I do. He was honest enough with us. He said, I've got, when Ms. Reitenberg asked any background, he said, I got a charge. I wish he had gone ahead and told us that he was on probation, but that's just my opinion.
Did you call to his previous job and double check?
I did not. When I spoke to him, I asked him about that. He was gonna give me the number, but I didn't hear back from him today. I did ask about it because it was 28 years, I think, employment. And I said, did you retire? Did you get fired? If I called him, we'd get a good reference. He felt like we'd get a good reference, but he said he had resigned. And I asked about, because the background, undoubtedly the charge was in Calhoun County. I think if I remembered right, and y'all can correct me, he said he'd moved from Tampa area to Sunny Hills. But I asked him about that. He said, well, he'd actually moved from Tampa to Kynard, where this occurred, and then from Kynard to Sunny Hills. So I asked about any other employer, but he said he hasn't worked in 2 years. So.
Don't sound too good to me. I mean, that's just me now.
I mean, his resume looked really good. If, that's
I think
that's believable.
yeah, the resume was good. The interview he interviewed very well. If Jeff just said it's all right, again, I wish he had told us, but he said we could find anything. So he said, yeah, you will find something, but he didn't do his, he doesn't know what he was on.
I did ask him too about if the council was a little leery of it, he said he would be glad to wait until September until his probation is finished and he can give us a probation completion document and then start then if y'all wanted him to do that.
That I do with it to do. And they did now all that night.
If that would make the council more comfortable, I would be willing to do that. I think we need him Monday morning, or as soon as he can get here. We have volunteers, after a while, if it's every day, it seems more like a job than it does a volunteer or something like that. And I'm sure they're gonna keep on volunteering, but we got things, it's just, Ms. Powell's presentation a few minutes ago lets us know that how bad we are behind on the cemetery and the rights of way and some things like that.
And I think her being here tonight was a conversation I had that we were just talking, and I said, I've been thinking for a while about could we do without a maintenance guy and just contracting out the pieces, contract out the mowing, and contract out someone to do the water leaks for us, which we have very, very few water leaks. Contracting out to do the line locates. That's really the big three things in the town. The line locates right now are terrible, but because of the road construction. And I do have somebody that's doing them for me on the side, no charge to the town, but they're getting so frequent, he can't keep up. I did meet with a rural water guy today. They're gonna send 3 people over to help me next week to get the line locates. Because every contractor has to call in line locates, so a lot of them are duplicate. But there's probably 20 back there that need to be done. But once you get from this point to this point, that'll knock out about 5 or 6 of them, because they're all the same thing. So it could be that we could contract out the parts of it that we want, hire mowing for the big things, let the volunteer group do the small things. Get somebody that would just work on an as-needed basis. So if we have a line locate, do a contract, I'll pay you $25, $30, $40 for every line locate, and come do 2 and pay him to go about his business. It was just one idea I've been throwing around because we've had such a hard time getting a maintenance person.
Is that the way that the town does business, though? Is that the way we do business? No, we want some ownership in what goes on in the town.
And
I don't know.
I don't know either, it's just an idea.
Can I? Like when I was talking to my cousin, him doing that offer, he made the comment to me, if he doesn't come out, you don't pay him. If you've got a locate and he comes to do a locate, you only pay for the locate. You don't pay for the drive time, you don't pay for you pay him for the locate only. Just like he does he does that on the beach and he does it for the city offer now. So I mean, it's not something that he actually is doing most of this here. It's cinched. So he's actually doing most of that out there now. So he's actually based out of Chipley, so it wouldn't take him no time to come do what he needed to do. With that, I'm saying with that.
It was just an idea I had to throw around because it's so difficult when you think you're gonna have an employee, you have work stacked up and then they don't work out.
I had thought about the water locate and the water repair lines. I had thought about that back sometime. But they do building maintenance, they do cleaning buildings and things like that. So how many contracts can we afford? Well, we can use one maintenance person and community service people and some things like that. I think any of them, I think it's going to be in the budget. They replacing a maintenance person with a fill or If it's somebody, that's in the budget, we can do that. We know we can do that.
But you'd have to keep your cost under your maintenance personnel budget. I mean, we would have to get companies that are willing to give us a price that are under what it costs us to have a maintenance man. His base salary, I think
If it doesn't save us money.
the base salary for him is 35,360, without benefits.
And on that, he gets retirement and up to $500 if he needs it. If he
Insurance.
decides to take insurance.
Workers' comp,
So $500 from insurance, that's another $6,000.
we contribute, I think it's 58 or 68% of the cost of state retirement for employee. So easily 40 to 45, probably by the time you get it all said and done. But just a thought, whatever you want to do.
And we've probably got further down the agenda than we intended to, while we're there. Kim's proposal is right about what you just said, to do one thing.
Yeah, well, but you would want to cut
Now,
this,
the
yeah.
argument is, she's gonna do it every 2 weeks. Right now, it may be done every 3 weeks,
Right.
it may be done when we can get to it. Unless we say, lay down something that you're doing here and go above and things like that. So we've got, this doesn't repair potholes, it doesn't unstop culverts, it doesn't trim the right way, it trim bushes back. It doesn't do a lot of things. I'm not saying this is too much or whatever. That's what it costs her to do it and stay in business. But it's gonna have to, we're gonna have to lay aside of our budget with all the other things that we want done. And we're gonna have to do some really good contract management. Because the people in town, they don't care if we got a contractor. They want to get a hold of one of us or get a hold of the office when they got a problem. And they don't want that contractor to have to come from cheap beer or wherever they have to come from. Contracting is a good way. It keeps us from paying retirements and keeps us from paying some things. Well, we may pay it, but it's figured into a bottom line, so we're on a contract.
So if we go ahead and vote to hire Philip, that was his name, right? He'll be on probation, so we could always, revisit it if,
It'd be 6 months probation, and while they're on probation, we can let them go with or without cause.
I kind of like what Kim said, doing it that way, but I'm just one person.
Do you think we can afford that?
You don't think it'd be cheaper than having a maintenance man? I really do.
She's just talking about mowing the cemetery, she ain't talking about, she's not talking about all the other things that the maintenance person does.
No, it's true, but we can cut that down.
We can't.
Cut that down.
Ms. Bell, I don't want you to think I'm Kim.
Oh, no,
I'm gonna
you're
call
not,
you Kim.
you're fine.
And I don't want you to think I'm.
You're not. I'm an example.
I'm looking
I'm
at
good.
it, okay, I'm looking at it from many years of budget management.
Right.
And things like that.
If I had to speak and say anything, I could see where a 20-hour-a-week person would get by at fairly, as a person who did things that were not, that a contractor could do, as in cleaning the buildings and potholes, don't get me wrong. I could see that, but I know that y'all were looking at one time for 2 full-time, or 1 full-time, 1 part-time. But if you can get rid of the fact of, one of our biggest things is coming up and our town looks bad. Not because of the road itself, but we've got people out here that shouldn't be out here mowing grass. I mean, as simple as mowing grass, not counting anything else that hadn't been done because we can't keep maintenance. So if we could get it outside and then minimize what they do as a maintenance person, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know what all entails in maintenance by all means, don't get me wrong, I'm not.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And I don't know what happened, what has happened in the town or in the environment we're living in, but we never had trouble with smell motors. It worked here for years and years, retired, red hard. It's just been the last couple of years that we've had the problem keeping a person here.
People don't want to work.
That and, you know, the minimum wage in Florida is $13 an hour, and we're paying 15 or 16. And they gonna go where there's money. Can't blame them for that. It's hard for me to, somebody explain to me how somebody making $15 an hour to buy a car, maybe by somebody that's making $60 an hour. I'm making mortgage payment, $15 an hour, $600 a week. My car payment's not quite that much. I don't have a mortgage, but if I had a mortgage, it would be $1,200 or $1,500. I don't know how anybody can live on minimum wage, and then those of us that are on fixed income, which everybody's on fixed income, they work for a salary or whatever they fix. It's just our economy's in bad shape. I think the last conversation you started, Ms. Reitenberg, would be a reasonable thing for us to do. It may not be fair to Philip if we do go into budgeting, but I think we need to get something on board and do it now to get some things done. Budgeting starts in October 1st, our new budget. What we're going to need to do is later in this meeting, the August meeting, September meeting, Lynn will present us a balanced budget. We'll have our revenue stream from the state and all the monies that's going to come in, and we can look at that and see what we can do. I think with some of the monies that we thought we had a year or so ago that were used during the last transition, I think that makes our budget probably worse than spending, at least since the storm, and maybe even before that. So we need to leave that budget all the time. Now, our water stuff seems to be I think it's only 6 names on that collection.
That's right.
That's
That's the best.
That's the best it's been.
This has been since I've been here.
So what would we like to do tonight?
I think since we need as much stuff done, go ahead and move forward with hiring him like we had talked about, and we can always revisit it within 6 months if we see that it's not working out or he don't know all that he says that he did as far as maintenance.
I agree with that. Let me drive that stock back up a little bit. There used to be a provision, the county used it often, I'm sure you remember this, Lynn, that you could do an emergency, you could declare an emergency and waive having to bid. Can we still do that?
I don't know, I want to check that
I
out.
have to check that with him. What I'm thinking is, between now and Fund Day, we got a lot of catching up to do. If we could declare a budget, declare an emergency, hire Legendary for one-time service for everything that's on here, that would put us near about the budget time, and then we can do what we need to do. I don't know how much that would do. And I don't know if Legendary can do that or anybody else. I don't know if we could hire somebody to do all of this one time before Fund Day. We're looking at 200, 400, 880, 1,600, 2,800, 4,000, 5,200, we're looking at about $5,000 or $6,000. And we get everything caught up and put us, and if we go with a maintenance person, he or she will be caught up and start off fresh, or get us caught up to the time that we can bid this and maybe not have to have those people. And what I'm thinking is that as long as Tim's been gone, and as long as Garrett's been gone, those salaries have accumulated, and you probably would have $5,000, $6,000, we would probably have that to declare an emergency and hire. The problem is going to be, and I don't know that it's a problem, because open government and sunshine is not always a bad thing. The problem is going to be that if we say, well, we're going to do this, and we set an amount, somebody else will come to the door next week and say, well, how come I didn't get a chance to make that $5,000 or $6,000, whatever you decide to do. There's usually the back side of the page, and almost everything's got two sides.
Instead of saying that, could we do it in a way that you could just give me the okay to go outside and see if I can get a company to do the things that are needed to be done, that we won't designate anybody or?
I think that's a good thing. That's exactly what Margaret did on numbers of occasions. I know more than Kim, but that on an emergency, almost whomever she could get came. I know that one time Eddie's sister, they needed Vera May. One time, I think Thomas Richardson may have done it. There's the time we'd have Sunday coming, or we'd have Christmas coming, or something. And that cemetery is the most often visited by the outside of anything in the town. That cemetery represents who we are.
Because if we're going to hire, continue on with the hiring, if he can start Monday, because all I'll have is the physical and the drug screen, our maintenance guy can be on that mower too. Not for that cemetery, because it's a beast.
I think if we do go ahead and hire, I think that needs to be where it starts. I was in the cemetery twice this week, and I know what our situation is, but the world don't. The rest of the people don't. They like Kim. They said, "What's going on in our cemetery?"
I go there about twice a week, yeah.
Yeah. And nothing's never what I see. Over half the graves up there didn't even pay for them, so there was no official funds.
Right.
If I bought a plot, I'm gonna want somebody to take care of it.
Well, my aunt even made the comment to me that she didn't have an issue paying $25 a month towards the city to get it taken care of if she needed to. And if we did that with everyone, then that would pay for it. And I'm with her. I don't have an issue with that either, by no means, as a family member.
The day of cemetery workings is over with.
Yes, yes it
I think
is.
the last time I went to was at hard labor, and I can't remember when it was. Used to be, we gathered up in the community, didn't John, or many of the boys, we.
Well, just putting it out there, we're all gonna be there Sunday afternoon.
Okay, what do we want to do?
What if we, get her to get us caught up on all this stuff?
Well, that's one of the options we just talked about.
Did y'all want
Is giving Lynn the authority to negotiate, whether it was her or somebody else, just something to get us caught up.
So we had another city that had a similar situation, and they called 3 to 4 different people, got them to give them a number within a couple of days to get them caught up. And then they made the decision because it was under a certain amount of money.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, that's what she's talking about doing.
And then we're not gonna have other lawn care businesses that are gonna come in and say, you know,
Judy isn't here for me to pass the gavel to, but someone needs to make a motion, or we need to have somebody to chair the meeting for a minute. We need to move the program.
and we've already voted on, hiring Philip.
So really, we don't have to do it.
I don't think we have to do anything on
You're
that,
just making us aware.
in case you wanted to back up
Are
and
we
do
good?
something else.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
We're good with what we done Monday night, and then all this other that we just had, she knows what to do, you know what to do.
I know what to do.
Is that good with you, John? Ms. Reinberg?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding us, we did make a vote Monday
Right.
evening. Okay.
The only other thing I had is that I've had 2 citizens come in and complain about the chickens in town. If you live anywhere in town, you know about the chickens. I looked at the ordinance that we have on animal control about the town. It does list in here 2 things. One is a public nuisance, and it says when any animal, including birds, there's several things, but one of them is repeatedly at large and without supervision. And then on the secure enclosure, it says that you must keep your animals in a secure enclosure, which is a humane place, which animal may be housed to prevent it from coming in contact with the general public or any other animal. So the 2 that came in to complain says that the chickens are just messing up their yard. They go out, they work in the yard, they get it pretty, the chicken, and that they're, messing on their porches, laying their eggs everywhere. If the council wants me to, I'll send Mr. Stoker a letter. And if you don't want, or we don't have to do anything.
What does our ordinance say that the remedy is?
Basically, they'll pay they'll pay for the cost associated with enforcing the animal control ordinance.
I say follow the ordinance. And send a letter, maybe the first part of that process. And because I think we need to start the process. I think about running over those chickens. I can't tell you how many times.
I know that animal control.
About.
Yeah. I don't mind sending him a letter and just see if he can corral them up.
And we wanted, if that doesn't work, we wanted to follow up on those complaints of the people.
Yes. That's all I had.
Okay. Mr. Park, do you have anything for tonight?
Not playing anything.
Okay, Ms. Rattenberg,
No, sir, not tonight.
Mr. Walsh now?
No, sir.
Okay, got a couple of things. The Christmas parade really was not so much the parade, it's just the events around Christmas. If you recall, last year we had some concern raised about the amount of money that was spent by the fire department on gifts and the party itself and some things like that, a very, very large amount. Now, I think our emotion in our heart is that there's nothing too good for our fire department, our departments, law enforcement, military and things like that. But I just want us to know, I think it's not fair to them to have a pattern set where we just kind of go out and do what we want to, then we start fussing or saying that you can't do it or we don't have the money and that. They need to know up front that there's a limit on how much they can spend if we don't have a limit. If we're not gonna have a limit, that's all a moot point. But are we going to, that comes out of our budget, doesn't it? It does not come out of our part, that comes out of the
The town
county,
pays
city,
for it.
out of the city's budget. So if we're going to say you can have this much money, you can buy what you want to, but here's where the limit is, you can buy steaks or bologna. But here's how much you can spend.
I think we need to set a limit on it, but
Exactly, we need to set a limit. Do we recall what they cost us last year?
It was between 2,500 and 3,000.
Did that include gifts or that was the party itself?
I don't remember. No, I think that included gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it included gifts.
There was gifts there, I didn't know if they bought that from their funds or if the city paid for that. I think last year and the year before, or maybe the year before, I don't even remember if I was there last year, but then a couple of years, I was my number was drawn. I was the recipient of a couple of those gifts, but I'm not opposed to us buying gifts for the firefighters, for the fire department, but to buy gifts to be given away or something like that.
I agree. I think there needs to be a limit and, you know, if they want to go above that, then they need to pay for it, with their fundraising or whatever. But there definitely needs to be a limit on what we spend.
Have we, the city side of the budget, do we still have some equipment or building payments? Do we still have some indebtedness in and with the fire department? Because our budget is just as good as the county lets it be. We're putting minimal funds from the city's money into it. So if the county comes up this year and says, well, we can't give as much as we've been given, then that means we can't spend as much as we've been spending.
How are we gonna come up with a limit on what they can spend?
Just talk it out amongst us. You got a figure in mind?
I don't know what we got in the budget. As far as
What's your thing, Mr. Walksnail?
I wouldn't know what to say, what we've been doing, I mean, for years.
Well,
Do we have a limit then?
we haven't.
But the budget was always in, like it is now.
And we might should have had all the time, we may have should have been better. We may have should have watched some things better than we did. Is our budget in here? Or just,
No,
just the
it's
bank,
not.
just the bank things?
Yeah, no.
No. Christmas is not next week, we don't have to do this tonight. Would you make sure that in our next package that you have a budget, update, because actually all of us will wonder about be at one of the beginning to set our budget, because we'll start having the hearings in September. Okay. Is that okay? She'll bring us a budget, we'll make this an item on the, in there. Okay. Was there anything that was tabled last month that we need to talk about? Okay. Well, we actually wound up doing both of the things that I had to talk about then, the Christmas thing with the fire. It's not just the fire department's budget, it's gonna be your watch budget. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight?
Has it come before the council, sorry, I didn't go back to the minutes, that we set the Christmas parade on December 7th? I'm gonna need it in the minutes to apply for the permit. Do you remember if it?
I think we do that, in the first of the year, don't we? Yeah, with Margaret, and that's just a point of reference, that's not a comparison. Early in the year, she got us to set 2 days, for the Monday parade and the Christmas parade.
Okay, I'll go back.
And then she just went ahead,
Okay.
we've got Monday parade, have we not?
Yes.
You've got that
Yes, I
permit?
got that permit.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'll look.
Any updates on our, grants that need to make? We're in that
This
period
last
where,
month.
if we in that period where we heard it and then we're waiting?
Right.
That's what it goes, right?
Yep.
All right. Do we need to talk about Ms. Powell's proposal anymore, or we're going to do this after we've done what we just said, and we'll bring this back at budget time?
Right.
Do you want, we want to have to keep, we want to have to keep it in public record?
Oh, you're good?
You understand? Okay. All right. We will stand adjourned. Let's do it again in August. 50 minutes, let's not have any work with the budget.